Hello and welcome to another random select episode here on the Doctor Plays. You may notice something very different right now. I finally got my hands on an analog capture device for my computer, so this video is more or less just a test run of it and also showing off games that has hours and hours of my life. Say hello to Residents of Fate, aka if John Woo directed a Final Fantasy game. Also, what's different here is that I recorded this video earlier and am now recording voiceover instead of doing it live like I usually do. Works for things like this, but I don't know, I might have to find a solution for it for next time. Not quite as good as having off-the-cuff reactions, especially if there's a game I haven't played before, such as when Doc does his LPs. But, yeah, this was me just making sure that the thing worked, and it looks like it works pretty well. We'll have to see what the overall video quality is. If anybody's curious, it's an Ion Video to PC USB video conversion system. And it came with a new editing software that it's not exactly Adobe Premiere, but it's definitely better than Windows Movie Maker that I've been using. So we will see about the possibility of maybe using that for future productions here on Doctor Plays. We'll just have to see. Maybe remake the opening for Random Select in it somehow. But I should be talking about the game at this point. So, Residents of Fate is a RPG for the PS3 and 360, and it is basically Final Fantasy with lots and lots of guns. Basically, I just recorded one arena match here, and this is very high-level play. I mean, you can't be expecting to pull things like this off early in the game, but the entire game it's actually extremely strategic compared to a lot of games, Final Fantasy, particularly RPGs. A lot of RPGs, it's just, hit, attack over and over, and then heal when you need it, and exploit an enemy's elemental weakness if you get the shot. But really, it's just whack at its knees with a sword until it dies. In this game, status effects are extremely debilitating for both sides. Your position on the battlefield really matters, and even the distance between you and the enemy affects things like your accuracy and how much damage your attacks do. So it's a lot about positioning, and the entire, what you're seeing right here is the resonance system, those blue lines. Now, the way that combat in this game works is you take, when you take your turn, you can either just choose to do a standing attack where you're just standing in one place and fire your weapon, keeps you in the same position you're in, or you can do what's called a hero action, which is what you're seeing me do almost entirely in this video, which is represented by those blue lines, which hero actions basically let you run, jump, and fire at the same time, and change your target mid-attack. As you can see, you can fire off several hundred rounds in just one hero action, but the key to the strategy of this game is gaining what's called resonance points, which you can see I've got 7 right now up above my character's health bars. Now, resonance points are earned when you perform a hero action and your character passes between the other two characters, as you can see indicated by the blue dotted lines. And for every resonance point you rack up, you're able to build what's called your triangle attack, which I'll get to in a second. Now, the triangle attack is basically your end-all, be-all, your ultimate ability that pretty much pawns everything. I've one-shotted bosses with my triangle attacks, so it depends how much you build it up. But if at any point you do not pass through, or you stop doing hero actions, you lose all your resonance points. So you have to plan significantly far ahead. But here's the triangle attack going off here, and boom, look at that. And this is what's called a bonus shot. I'll get to that in a second. But as you can see, I just totally took out that one enemy and just got two shots from 2 characters. The triangle attack lets your characters run in a triangular pattern based on their 3 positions when you start the attack, and continuously fire. And the number of laps they do around that triangle is determined by how many resonance points you have. So I had 8 resonance points gone on, so they're going to do about 2 and almost 3 laps around the triangle, firing at whatever enemies I choose to target in the middle of it. You can switch enemies during it. It's not uncommon for you to generally take out 3 or 4 enemies or finish the entire encounter with one triangle attack if you've built it up enough. You can do it with as little as 1, but it's not going to be very effective. Now, one thing I said about positioning, now this is the arena, so it's a very flat battlefield, but most of the random encounters you have are going to be on different terrains. And those different terrains, you could have things that block your line of sight with the enemy to prevent you from firing at them. You can have obstacles that your character could accidentally run into during the triangle attack, which causes them to stop dead in their tracks and ends the triangle attack. So you need to not only build your resonance meter, but you also need to make sure that when you're ready to use it, you're in the right position to do so. Now, I kind of cheated to explain that because, hey, arena mode. But this is the arena. Up there's a level up. Yeah, as you can see, my characters are all in the 90s in terms of level, so this is very, very late game. But it's a very fun game. Takes some getting used to the strategy, but once you're used to it, it's a ton of fun. A little bit repetitive as you get later and later into the game, but it's still really good. Weapon customization, character customization. All my characters you see now are wearing custom outfits. They don't look like that by default. You unlock more outfits and guns by doing side quests and shopping and such. Really, you're not going to run out of money at any point in this game because there is a exploit someone found where you can buy parts. You can using the crafting system, you can buy the parts and make something for like 2,300 gold, and then turn around and sell it for 3,000 gold. So you can do that over and over to get infinite gold if you need it. But see all those little gold chips that are lying around every time I wind up knocking somebody up into the air, they come flying out? Yeah, those are worth 500 gold a piece. So if you get any good at arena mode, you are pretty much set on money. Alright, I should probably explain the blue and green health bars on the enemies. Alright, so machine gun fire, or any damage done to your characters, is what's called scratch damage. Now, scratch damage does not actually count as damage, and it heals itself gradually over time. But if you hit somebody with impact damage, which is dealt by handguns and grenades, it converts any scratch damage they currently have on them into regular damage. You can see all the blue numbers as I fire this machine gun, and then when my next character fires, it goes away from the health bar altogether. Now your characters, pretty much any damage you take, there's some exceptions, is going to be scratch damage. And your character can only take full damage when your hero gauge is broken. Now the hero gauge is those little red shards that you see at the bottom of the screen. You consume a hero gauge every time you do a hero action, which, as you can see, as many of them as you have to do, you're going to run out really fast. However, you get more, you refill the gauge by killing enemies, breaking shields, and other such objectives in battle. So you need to also, while you're doing everything else that I talked about, you need to keep an eye on your hero gauge and make sure you keep it suitably filled. If your hero gauge runs out, not only can you no longer do any hero actions, the gauge itself will actually break into pieces, which you'll have to run around the battlefield and pick up the pieces before you can refill your hero gauge. And then on top of that, you won't be able to do hero actions. All you'll be able to do is fire. Your character will run around cowering with their arms above their heads, and you're pretty much, if your hero gauge breaks, you might as well just reload because you're done. There is not much way to get out of those situations. And it's actually very easy for things like that to happen during boss battles, because if your character's HP becomes entirely scratch damage, then you lose 3 or 4 shards off the gauge in one shot, which that adds up really fast, especially when you have more than one enemy attacking. And as you can see, just the animations in this game are just really gorgeous for an RPG. You know, you're used to seeing, you know, a lot of RPGs where, especially turn-based RPGs, where every character's got one attack animation. You see it over and over, and then there's a couple of special attack animations, but not much. Just variants of every animations. There's like 30 or 40 different animations for every character, and they cycle through them at random so that air battles keep looking dynamic and such. So it's very, very well done game. I highly recommend it if anybody has PS3 or 360 and you're looking for a good RPG. Just be warned, this is a very long game. I have been playing it for the 100% completion and doing all the arena stuff, which adds a good 30-40 hours to the game. But I'm 90 hours in, and I have not actually finished it yet. I have like 2 more chapters left. And one last thing before I go. You can fully customize your guns. Now, they won't actually appear on the actual character models as the fully customized versions of the guns, but the customization gets ridiculous. There we go. That's a handgun. That's a handgun with like 3/4 scopes on it. It's like 6 scopes on that. My machine guns have like 8 scopes and all these extra ammo things. And it's just absolutely ridiculous, but it works. So yeah, I highly recommend this game. You can get it for under $20 now, probably. So go ahead and check it out. This is goodbye.